Good day guys, and welcome back to another video. In today's video, we're going to take a look at how important it is to use sound effects and sound design for our future videos and to improve our filmmaking skills. Now, I put together a small sequence here on about 40 seconds where I used only sound effects to drive the videos and to drive the sequence, except for one part where I had to sort of add a music track to build around the atmosphere of what you are seeing in the sequence as well. Now let's take a look at the sequence here and let's see how it sounds. So for this short sequence of 40 seconds, I ended up using 7 different types of sound effects. And I also used one music track, or actually I used 2 different music tracks. One of them, which is at the beginning here. If we go on and mute all of the different sounds here, and we go over to the bottom one, which is here, and just play through that, this is the first music track that I used as well. And this creates that happy moment, and it really fits in with the clips as well. So for this, I ended up adding the entire sequence with all the different video clips first, and then I went through and added the different sound effects which you see here on the timeline. Now the second music track here is actually back here, and you can see that when the crowd is coming in, lifting their arms, and the clip moves over to the DJ, we have the music going on right here. So let's just listen to these. And then we have some low pass coming in, and then also some change in the volume here. So if we go into the track here, we can go over to low pass, and you can see we have added some keyframes here just to get this down and feel like it's, you know, going sort of underwater, muffling the audio a little bit, which creates a really nice listening experience to the entire sequence as well, and to the particular sound design that we implemented into this sequence here. And I also changed the gain here. From the beginning it was at -9, and then we got all the way down to -14.4, and it ran through 14.4 as we had change of clips here from the DJ to the cassette to the play button there, and to the volume control knob here. And as the person is changing this and increasing the volume here and pushing this up, I increase the volume as well. So here basically a keyframe right when it starts, and then a keyframe when it stops, and you can see that we have the change of the volume going on here on the right side. So from 14.4 over to 3.9. Now moving over to the different sound effects that I used for this sequence here, and we have a couple going on here. In the beginning we have some drones and atmospheres, and we have a riser. This riser actually helps build up the tension of the video, so you are building up something that will happen, and then we suddenly have that drop to the silent, sort of mysterious and happy place where this man is walking on the field, and then it continues. So let's go on and just listen to the first track here, which is sort of an ambient sci-fi sound effect here. And this is actually something that could be used alone for this particular space clip. Now we have another one which is underneath here. Let's listen to that. Sort of the same style, but in a different way. If we do a playback of these two here, you can hear that this is creating a sort of a more cinematic, atmospheric vibe. So let's go on and play. And as these are building up slightly, we have a riser down here as well. So if we mute these and play the riser only, you can see and hear that this is sort of building up the tension of the video. Then it suddenly goes over to the fill clip here. So if we play these two here or these three here at the beginning simultaneously, you can hear that we have a build up for the next scene. Now moving over to the next part here, we have this string here, which is building up over time. And you can hear that this is that sort of peaceful string, creating a nice atmospheric vibe to the video. It's happy and it really makes all the clips blend in together. And then it stops because we have change in the scenes here. Now let's go over to the bottom clip here. This is also a music file like I mentioned earlier in the video. And if we just do a playback of these two together, you can hear that we have some piano playing as well. So we have the strings and the music file below. And you can feel that this is going to be a calm, happy place, if you may call it that. And as we get over to, we can listen to this as well. And as we get over to the next scene here where we have the person running, it suddenly stops. There we have it. We still have the piano playing as well. And another thing I wanted to add as well was when we had the change in scene here, so it goes from very slow moving clips, then we have some pace to all of the remaining clips here. I wanted to have something with a consistent beat, probably around 80-90 BPM, and I was actually struggling to find this, so I ended up using heartbeats. And for the heartbeats here, this was going fairly slow, and as you can see here on the speed here, this is actually sped up to 150% instead of 100. And that is something that you can do with all the different sound effects as well. It's not said that you download the sound effects from Epidemic Sound and then that is the sound effect that you're gonna put on your timeline, and then just you're done. In most cases, you will need to go in and tweak that with changing some speeds, volumes, and also maybe add a high pass or low pass filter to make it sound different. That is also what's called sound design, and where you customize and design your own type of sounds for your video. So this is also something which is really important to consider and do when you are using sound effects for your videos, because right out of the box, most of the sound effects is not as sharp and as good as you probably want them to be. So that's where the tweaking comes in. Now, this is the heartbeat as I mentioned, and this creates that boom, 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 boom pumping sound all over the remaining clips here, all the way to the end. Now, let's move over to the beginning here again. As we can see here on the second clip, we're at a field and I needed something than just music. So I ended up with adding some field birds and insects, which is creating a really nice vibe to the sequence as well. And you sort of feel that you are the person that films this other person, if you know what I mean. So it's really important to take a look at all the different elements which is in your video to see what type of effects can I use, what is the different things in the video, what's the sound that these or those things are making, and try to find different sound effects for that. Now let's take a look at all these here as well. So we have the music and we have the strings, and we also have the fill birds here. So we're just gonna go on and we're gonna play the two bottom layers here, this one, and then we're gonna add in the sound effects of the field birds and insects after. So here you can hear that is already creating a different vibe to the sequence. We have everything that you see in the video. We have the insect sound, which is very common for something like this, where you have this field and you're walking there at sunset, and that's why I wanted to have the insect sounds there as well. Now there is another thing here. If we take a look and listen to this sound here, this is just an exhale from a person, a breathing effect, and I used a lot of breathing sound effects here as well, just to sort of use those as a transition for the audio when going from one clip to another. Now, if we play this back just as it is, now let's go on and apply the riser here, which also is customized a little bit with the different gain levels here. So if we go over here, you can see that I applied 3 different keyframes just to get sort of a curve to it, instead of it going from one point and then straight up to the volume I wanted. So let's play back all these sound effects which is underneath this part of the sequence. And here you can hear that the riser is actually building up the expectation of something is going to happen. And then we get this breathe effect, and we have this this old man here looking up to the sky, which is then reflecting back to the clip, which is in the beginning. Not that this is a video on how you're gonna edit a cinematic sequence, but that's also something that you might consider if you use stock footage. Now all the stock footage here is from Artgrid as well, and this is what I use all the time when I need footage, or if I want to have different types of shots and play around, in this case with sound design, and put things together. So if you want to check out Artgrid, you can go down in the description below. There is a link there which you can click, which is taking you to Artgrid library. Now the next clip here is a person running in the forest here, and here I applied some footsteps. Let's listen to that. This is just basic footsteps. It's also important to go in and do some adjustments to the speed of it, because sometimes the sound of the sound effects is going too fast. So instead of spending time finding a sound effect which is just matching spot on the clip that you are editing, then you can use speed changes and lower the speed or increase the speed of the sound effect to make it match better. And here, in worst case, you can also, if you see the spikes here of the audio file, you can also cut between the spikes here. So if we want one here, and we can take another cut right there, and one right here, then you can overlap these just in case your the person is running. Let's, in this case, the person is running and is running super fast, and instead of speeding this up so it might sound unnatural, you can also make cuts to the sounds here, and then you can simply overlap them like this, so we will have the footsteps coming closer together. Now another thing I added to this was of course a forest sound, because he's running in the forest and I wanted to have the sounds of a forest. So here we have some birds and some winds and some crickets, I think. Let's go on and play that. So just by adding those insects and that forest sound, we get a whole different feel of the sequence and the clip. Now, if we go on and go to the bottom here and actually add that heartbeat, we get something which is a little bit more dramatic. And if we add the music as well, the dreamy music, we get a different vibe of the sequence. You sort of get that feeling that without the music, you get a feeling that he is running away from something, right? Because you have that dun 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 heartbeats going on, and you have the forest sound, and you also have the footsteps. But if we add the music here, it sort of turns the other way. Then the video or the sequence gets sort of a happy vibe to it, and makes us believe that he's sort of running towards something of excitement, that he's looking forward to see a person or something similar. So again, let's hear the difference with and without the music. So there we have two different ways that we can use this clip with sound effects. Simple as that, add a calm, nice, happy beat to it, and then the person is suddenly running of excitement to meet a person or meet something, just to go to the beach maybe. And if you remove that, then it sounds a little bit more dramatic. Now moving over to the next sequence here, we have the beats coming in here. Let's just unlink all of these so we can start with the football voices. So this is also a sound effect from Epidemic Sound, and this is just football practice. So this is a sound effect of people practicing football, and this fits very well for the different clips here. So let's go on and listen to that. So now that we have the main audio of what's going on there with the people playing soccer, we can move over and we can apply the whooshes here, which will create a little bit more dramatic feel to the video. So we now added the whooshes, so let's do another playback. So we now have the whooshes, which is creating something really nice, and you have that sort of feeling that the camera is close to the players, and you get that whoosh sounds when they are moving back and forth. Now we can also add the heartbeat here at the end, and let's move over to the top here, and we have the riser. This is a airy riser, so it's fluffy riser. Anyway, let's go over to the beginning here and do play. So this is building up over time, all the way until we get to the concert and the DJ here. So this is a long riser which can help build up something which you have a lot of different clips, and you want to build it up over time for them to reveal something big or something which has an extreme change of scenery. Then you can use a really long riser to do that, and most of the risers are sounding really good as well, especially the risers that you find on Epidemic Sound. And you can also tweak them. Like I said, you can change the speed of them, the volume, add a high pass, low pass filter to them to make them sound different. So now that we have all of the sounds applied to the clips here, we're gonna go on and apply the end of the happy music as well. So let's go on and listen to that. And then we have the music like gradually going down, and as this is going down, the riser on top here is also increasing. So let's listen to that one more time. And then we have this lady coming into the boxing area here, and we have a female exhale sound effect, which you can hear right here. Let's see, uncheck these, and we have this coming in right here. So this is also something that can build on to the next clip. And in this case, this is actually doing that because the next clip is of the same person doing some boxing as well. And we also have the riser building up until we get to the stage here. Now moving over to the next one here, we have these needles here moving, and this for this I simply used a whoosh ascend sound effect. So let's listen to that. And this is just placed when the needles are going to the right. And we also have some different risers here, and we also have the music track and also the heartbeats coming on in the background here. Now the next sound effect here is also the exhale or breathe. This is also a very basic sound design edit, where all the sound effects are basically placed in the cut between two clips or right underneath the clips. Now, if we're going to go over to the more advanced sound design edits, that would be to add additional sound effects to blend in the sound effects which you already put on your timeline. So you will have a seamless flow of the entire sequence where sound effects is driving the music. Now, for this particular example here, I ended up placing all the different sound effects first, and then I added the music tracks later. And this is something that could be very useful as well, where you place all these sound effects on your videos, and then once all the sound effects are done, you can go in and add that cinematic music that you want to have on your travel videos or your other types of videos, and then you can adjust the volume of the sound effects after. So if you're adding the music file first, it could be really easy to just skip the sound effects, because once you hear the music playing on the edit that you have done, you might get this feeling of this looks really good and I want to export that. But if you just try to apply the music first, then you mute the music file, so you have the music that you want to use, but you mute it so you don't listen to it until you're done with the sound effects. Now this is a mistake that I've gone through before, where I applied a few sound effects and then I really wanted to have the music, and I played the music on the video and that was looking and sounding really awesome, and I just exported the video. Adding sound effects first has a huge impact on the video. You might, you can add the music first if you want to do that, but make sure to mute it so you can apply all the essential sound effects which your videos will need if you want to improve on your videos and become better at sound design. Now, sound design is really important, and it really helps you grow as a filmmaker, learning how to make sound design. And to be honest, sound design is probably my favorite part of editing as of now, because I have so much fun making this video. I also want to thank Epidemic Sound for sponsoring today's video. It wouldn't be possible to make this without their backup and their awesome sound effect and music library. So if you want to check out Epidemic Sound, there's a link down in the description below. Now there's another thing I want to show you, which is a simple hack which you can use when you are taking your music or sound effects from Epidemic Sound over to LumaFusion. If we go over to Safari here, or we can stay in LumaFusion and we drag up the bar, we take the Safari here, pull it over to the right hand side. You can now have and browse your library of Epidemic Sound here on the right hand side, and you can now see, if we go over to, or we can stay just here, if we go over to search sound effect, let's say I want a riser. I'm going to type in a riser and let's find a riser reverse. This is the one that I want. What I'm going to do now is tap on the three dots here on the side and download again, and download. There's a lot of downloads, and once this is downloaded, we're going to tap on top here, top right corner, and I'm going to tap hold on this file here and drag it over to LumaFusion. And this was the riser reverse. And we can see that we have the riser reverse here, and we can now drag it over to our timeline. So here we downloaded directly from Epidemic Sound on Safari and dragged it directly over to LumaFusion and imported that over to our timeline in just a few seconds. So that's also one way that you can speed up your workflow when you are either downloading music or sound effects from Epidemic Sound, or if you are downloading anything else from the internet. So that's going to be the end of today's video. Really hope that you enjoyed it. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. Check out Epidemic Sound down in the description below. And as the end of this video, let's take a look at the final sound design sequence one more time.